I am Reverend Dr. Henry Lee Bates, coming to you live from Palm Springs, California. This program is not pre-recorded, nor is it edited. It is live, and our Way to a Wonderful Life message for today is titled, Not of This World, Not of This World. Now, so many people get into that foolishness of biblical culture that they forget that Jesus was teaching principles, and that Jesus is telling us that this world in which we live has been created by God for us to enjoy it, for us to make use of every good thing that God brings through the mind of man, for us to bring forth a greater expression of God's livingness and givingness and forgivingness into our world of experience, and let ourselves do all things to the glory of God so that everybody can be lifted up into that higher level of faith, so that they can know that it's done unto them as they believe, and as they believe in the good, as they put their mind on God, then all good things shall happen for them. I'm going to begin the program with some words from the Christ letters. This is letter number 2. It says, there is no difference between you who have little in life and those who have it all. For rich and poor alike get sick, make enemies, and find themselves alone. But the potential for you gaining more is enormous. And when it is all accomplished, you will know that the opportunities, the ability, the inspiration all came from the Father within, because you will know you could never have done such things if you had not asked the Father within you to help you use all your talents, to put plenty of food in your cupboards and clothes on your back and happiness and a good life for your children. So we know that every good thing comes from God, just as Jesus tells us. It is the Father that doeth the work, and God provides for each and every one of us every day. You give us this day our daily bread, Jesus tells us in the Lord's Prayer. And we know that you is our source, that God is. God is the good. God is the source of every good thing. And as we feel within our mind and our heart and our soul that trust in God and realize that God can be trusted to provide for us every good thing, then we know that daily bread symbolizes all of our requirements in life. And the mystical Ernest Holmes writes, we need have no sense of unworthiness, nor should we fall under the illusion that it is spiritual to be poor, or the equally wrong thought that people who happen to possess enough of this world's goods to make life comfortable are thereby unholy. There's no unholiness in being healthy and wealthy and wise. There's no unholiness in being provided for. There's no unholiness in realizing that God has created an abundance of every good thing, and each and every one of us can have that good thing that we require if we just keep faith with it. Now, so many of these people that run around with these not of this world stickers on their car think that their heaven is somewhere else, even though Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you, not low here or low there, that right where we are, we're to go within our mind, go into that closet of our mind, and listen to God, listen to that still small voice, as we hear we read in the ancient scriptures, be still and know that I am God. And if you be still and know that I am God, then God will guide you, direct you, and infuse your mind with the love not only for God, but the love for all the people in the world and all the things in the world, so that you realize that God has gifted all of us with this magnificent world in which we live, and that we can take that good and we can use it to make it a better world for us and for everyone around us. It's so difficult to imagine that anyone could find something within themselves that would want to escape this world or to see it destroyed. Whenever I look out into the world around me, I see great beauty, and often I will find delight in observing nature and all of its elements. To believe that there is something so very wrong with the world in which we live that we can imagine that our Creator would somehow destroy it, and most of us in it, compels me to believe that the sense of unworthiness resident in the minds of those who believe such things make them a danger to themselves and even perhaps to others. You know, God is a creator, not a terminator. God is a creator, not a destroyer. And that everything good, God has created for us to enjoy it and to use it for the good. Anything that diminishes life, anything that takes away from that goodness, fades away. It has no foundation to it. As we read in the book of Isaiah, I am the Lord, besides me there is nothing, besides me there is no thing, no power, no spirit, no intelligence. And so we know that all those things that seek to diminish life or negate the good that God has created for all of us to enjoy will go away. It will dissolve back into the nothingness from whence it came, and that belief in that negative, that belief in that evil, that belief in that thing that is not good, that God upside down thinking will go away. So I see these NOTW stickers on cars and lots of trucks throughout the area in which I travel daily. And from what I have seen, I think very few people who proudly display these letters on their vehicles have any real sense of what not of this world means. The full statement attributed to Jesus in the Gospel of John, which is the good news, that if you were of the world would love you as its own, but because you are not of the world, but I choose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Now, I don't believe this statement was made by the mastermind Jesus. I don't think a spiritual genius of someone who is so highly enlightened, so highly spiritual, so highly in tune with the divine, such as Jesus, would state that the world hates you. Instead, he's saying the ways of the world hate you, the thoughts of the world that believes that somehow we're separate and apart from God, that we don't have that image, likeness of God within us. Those are the people that perhaps disdain us or hate us. But guess what? There's no power to their hate. Hate is not a powerful word. Love is a powerful word. Love cancels out hate. Love cancels out hate. We must always remind ourselves that that's the truth. And God and love are synonymous. God and love are synonymous. So how many times do you think we've taken to our mind that we love God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind, and love our neighbor, which Jesus said is equally important as ourselves? It would make very little difference in our lives if God chooses us, but it makes a great difference in our life that we choose God. Jesus knew this. Isaiah knew it. Moses knew it. Job knew it. Every great mystic throughout history knew it. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John knew it. And of the remote possibility that Jesus would have made this statement that the world hates you, he would at that time have been talking to Jewish people only. He was only talking to the Jewish people. Remember, he was teaching to Jewish people. He was not teaching to the world at that time. He was teaching the universal principle that everyone in the world can use and can make use of in their life to create a better life, a more joyous life, but that didn't come until later. I believe that as we read the Bible, we must read it based on the principle that God is all and all is God, and that just as Jesus was teaching us to develop our consciousness away from the things of the world, the false ideas of the world, and to focus our mind on God, on the good that Jesus would tell us to be in the world, means that we're still buying into the old false ideas, the old man-made opinions, the old God that was made in man's image, rather than the man that's made in God's image. So we know that this statement of Jesus speaks to that which transcends our human understanding and provides for a higher thought for us to discover within our mind, our heart, and our soul. This is the way in which intelligence would create the world, and God is intelligent. Anything else would be destructive rather than creative. Humans are the only species that seek to destroy the world in which they live. It is incredible to even imagine that our Creator would destroy its creation. And I believe that those who seek a destructive quality of God believe this through the filter of unworthiness in their very own minds, And unfortunately, they get people to follow them. As we remember, there's not everyone may remember it, but most of us do remember Jim Jones and how the people drank the Kool-Aid and they gave it to their children. There was an unworthiness that they found within Jim Jones that they identified with, and they identified with it because they had that unworthiness in their own mind. But I'm going to tell you, even though those beautiful souls that drank that Kool-Aid were confused, including Jim Jones, they were confused and under the illusions of evil, of the illusion of evil, not the reality of God's presence, God's intelligence, God's power, that each and every one of them has found their perfect place on the other side, because God is a God of love. God is a God of livingness and givingness and forgivingness, and so we can know that their spirit moved on to a new experience, and they left behind that old unworthiness, and they get that chance to cleanse their mind and remain faithful to God. Unworthiness is a poison to the mind and must be healed. It separates us from the good in the world, and it separates us from God. It blinds us to the beauty in the world in which we live, and the beauty within our own soul and in the souls of those around us. Unworthiness can attract to us abusive relationships and strained relationships with families and family and friends and coworkers, but most importantly, it denies the divinity that is within us. Unworthiness accepts duality in the world and projects this duality in our relationships in a myriad of ways, as divisiveness, as jealousy, as hate, as lack, as limitation, and as loss. It prevents us from enjoying the abundance and the success that is available to us, the prosperity, the friendships, the loving family relationships, the success in our work, and the financial ease. Financial lack and loss are directly linked to feelings of always being abused, of non-acceptance, with an inner quarrel with ourselves, and feelings of desperation. These feelings arise from unworthiness and feelings of both inferiority and superiority. Both arise from unworthiness. We don't feel superior to people if we feel worthy. We feel that we want to see everyone as God sees them, that we want to see everyone as that image, likeness of God, expressing in the world the livingness, the givingness, the forgivingness of God to the measure that they understand it, and to the measure that they have that realization that they are here to express this thing called life in a joyful way, and be interested in the world in which they live, interested in making it better, interested in making it more wonderful, and interested in realizing that God has created every good thing for us to enjoy right here. There is no far-off heaven any more than there is a hell below, because God does not create anything that diminishes the good. That Jesus tells us, all that the Father hath is mine. All that the Father hath is mine. That means all that the Father hath, we are connected to it in a way unknown to man, because we do not know the ways of God any more than we know the ways of the wind. So we know that God has created everything good and very good, and has given us the ability to take dominion and authority over those things that concern us. But if we take those beautiful words of Jesus and say, be in the world but not of the world, and we make them into a negative, we make them into something where God is going to favor some people and destroy all others who don't believe the way that certain people believe, then we are on the point of needing a psychiatrist. You need a psychiatrist or a psychologist, or at least you need to really straighten out your mind and go back and read your Bible, read your holy books from a perspective of God is love, and love is God, and all that God is loving us. God has an everlasting love for each and every one of us, no matter what we may be doing in the physical world, no matter what we may be doing in the things that happen in our experiences, because God listens to our heart. God knows our good intentions, because that image, likeness of God, that spirit, that power, that intelligence of God is resident within each and every one of us, because God so loved the world that he imparted a part of himself in every living thing. And just as Jesus tells us, the Father is a spirit. Spirit is mind. Spirit is intelligence. Spirit is power. Spirit is presence. And we must worship him, give our attention to him, realize that, and recognize and identify with that power, that spirit, and that intelligence, and know that a part of it, a fragment of it, is within each and every one of us, because this infinite creator that gave us life individualized within each and every one of us that unique expression of life that we're to live out on this planet Earth. And that's why it's no coincidence that even with the billions of people on this planet, No two people have the same fingerprints. Think about it in your mind. No two people have the same fingerprints. God has given us our own unique expression of life to live, given us all, each and every one of us, something unique to do, something that is necessary for us to be here, because we wouldn't be here if we weren't necessary to be here. And as long as we are aware that we do have this part of this intelligence and this power and the Spirit of God, then we are aware that God is seeking to express something through us in a greater way. Let's go back to those Christ letters. I'd like to know who that author is, but I don't know who it is. Christ letters. It was something that was sent to me. This is letter number 2. There is no difference between you who have little in life and those who have it all. For rich and poor alike get sick, make enemies, and find themselves alone. But the potential for you gaining more is enormous. And when it is all accomplished, you will know that the opportunities, the ability, the inspiration all came from the Father within, because you will know you could never have done such things if you had not asked the Father within to help you, to use your talents and to put plenty of food in your cupboards and clothes on your back and happiness and a good life for your children. We need to have no sense of unworthiness. This is from the mystical Ernest Holmes of his book, Living the Science of Mind and Spirit. We need have no sense of unworthiness, nor should we fall under the illusion that it is spiritual to be poor, or the equally wrong thought that people who happen to possess enough of this world's goods to make life comfortable are thereby unholy. Because if we put that into our mind, we will think the same thing about ourselves. And we go back to those words of Jesus in the Gospel of John. And remember, all these books in the Bible, even the Gospels, the good news, the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, were written decades and sometimes over 100 years after Jesus left. So we know that because anything that's in the world can be modified, can be manipulated, and can be changed, or that whatever it is that we know and we think is going to come through us, through our consciousness, through the filter of our mind in a different way than it will someone else. Because if there's 1 million people listening to this radio broadcast this morning, there's going to be almost 1 million people that will take something different away from this than the other person, because we're all hearing everything, we're all seeing everything from the filter of our own consciousness, just as Jesus tells us. If you were of the world would love you as its own. In other words, that if you believe in the world. And so many people strive to believe the way that the world believes. They want to fit in. They want to be included. That's why we have all these mega churches, and that's why we have all these gated communities and all this stuff. Everybody wants to fit in. They want to be like everybody else. They want to be around like-minded people. But God created us as unique expressions of Himself. Like I said before, with billions of people on the planet, we all have a unique set of fingerprints, because God has imprinted this in our DNA, so to speak, so that we can realize that we're not here to be like anybody else. We're not here to live like anybody else. We're here to live to that calling from our own divine spirit within us, and that as we go into the closet of our mind, just as Jesus tells us, and we sit in secret with God, God will tell us in secret what it is that we are to do, to be, or to have, and will guide us and direct us and make all things possible for us to do it. But it will be our own unique expression of it, whatever it may be. But that doesn't mean that it won't look similar in the world to what other people do. Yes, there will be similarities, but there will be that unique quality that only our spirit can bring to it. That unique quality that only that something within us that has been elevated to that higher thought about our relationship with the world and our relationship with our Creator who created this world and clothed our spirit in human form for us to come here and enjoy this thing called life. That's what we would realize. So if you were of the world would love you as its own, but because you are not of the world, but I choose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Well, it doesn't matter if Jesus chose us. What matters is, do we choose Jesus? It doesn't matter if we're God's chosen people, are we choosing God? Because it's up to us to choose the good. It's up to us to choose to love God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind, which means to make God a priority in our life, to turn to God for everything. And as we turn to God and ask for everything, in faith, we're to expect everything, because if we turn to God and we ask for everything and we don't expect everything, then that is no faith. Faith divorced from works is no faith at all. It's just a simple rambling of someone's mind and confusion about what they believe and what they think is true. Faith divorced from works. We must demonstrate the truth, that it is done unto us as we believe. We must demonstrate the truth, that as we ask, we receive. And ask in the Aramaic language of Jesus means to claim it. Name it and claim it. Seek and you find. Knock on the door of your consciousness and it will be opened unto you. Demonstrate God's goodness, God's power, God's spirit, God's intelligence, and God's presence in your life, and you will have the faith that everyone who comes into contact with you will know that you have, without you saying even one simple word. So once again, let's allow ourselves to believe, let's allow ourselves to receive, and let's allow ourselves to know that not of this world means that we are here to live in the good, to thrive in the good, to feel good, to enjoy life, take an interest in life, and let everything that we do be to the glory of God in all things and in all ways. Once again, I want to thank you for being with me this morning. It's been my great pleasure to have you, and I hope you join me for my next broadcast right here on WKDI AM 840 Radio, your ministry station where the Way to a Wonderful Life is broadcast Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and also simulcast on the Internet at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 Central Time, 7:30 Pacific Time, and rebroadcast in the evening. You can find the Way to a Wonderful Life's full radio broadcast schedule and Internet schedule at www.revbatesontheradio.org. That's Rev Bates, BATES, Rev Bates on the radio.org for the full radio schedule. The Way to a Wonderful Life is broadcast live 7 times a week and broadcast on the Internet 17 times a week. So once again, find that website, Rev Bates on the radio.org, or go to youtube.com, type in the search box of youtube.com, the